The city of Three Rivers is unable to draw water from nearby Choke Canyon Reservoir. The city of Mathis swears in a new police chief, and the city of San Juan plans to rename a highway named after Cesar Chavez. This is South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Thank you for joining me. It's Tuesday, March 24th. Today, Corpus Christi City Council members will decide whether to move forward with formal proceedings related to a petition requesting removal of Mayor Paulette Guajardo. The Corpus Christi Caller-Times reports the documents show it was signed by 6 city residents meeting the threshold to file the petition. Allegations made in the document relate to a controversy involving $2 million in tax incentives that was awarded to company Elevate QOF LLC for development of a downtown Homewood Suites hotel in 2024. Other items on this week's agenda include an update from Corpus Christi Water on the regional supply and projects. Today will also feature an executive session related to purchase and or sale of groundwater, including water rights related to the Evangeline Aquifer in San Patricio County. Full meeting agenda and public comment session sign-up is available on the City of Corpus Christi's website. Meetings are live-streamed on the city's official YouTube channel. And on the note of water, the city of Three Rivers said in a statement that it will soon be unable to draw water from the Choke Canyon Reservoir due to operation changes by the city of Corpus Christi. Three Rivers officials said Monday that Corpus Christi made, quote, inaccurate water projections, unquote. Now Corpus Christi will release more water from Choke Canyon to Lake Corpus Christi, cutting off the supply for Three Rivers. Officials said that new information contradicted what Corpus Christi officials told them back in January, and that Three Rivers will soon carry out its second and third alternative water supply options. Corpus Christi officials issued a response Monday that there have been no operational changes in its management of the reservoir and that its water projection models remain accurate. Most projections show a level 1 water emergency expected to be announced in several months. On the note of Choke Canyon Reservoir, it is at 8% capacity today. Lake Corpus Christi is at 9.1% capacity. Lake Texana near Edna is at 52.7% capacity. And continuing on with water concerns, U.S. Representative Michael Cloud planned to meet with Corpus Christi officials Monday to discuss short and long-term water supply options. The city of Mathis has a new police chief. Matt Jones was sworn in Monday at City Council. A U.S. Marine, Jones previously served as chief of police of the Sandy Oaks Police Department. He's also served for over 2 decades with the Brownsville Police Department as a lieutenant and sergeant. The Texas Education Agency is directing public schools to eliminate lessons and references to late union organizer Cesar Chavez. KERA's Bill Ziebel reports it follows a New York Times report outlining years of alleged sexual harassment and abuse.
The TEA says school districts should eliminate or modify lessons and activities to, quote, remove references to Chavez. The agency also said schools planning to celebrate Cesar Chavez Day, March 31st, should cancel the event. Last week, Governor Abbott said the state should stop observing the optional holiday, and he plans to push lawmakers to remove it from state law altogether. The TEA said the State Board of Education was already in the process of rewriting its social studies standards, and the agency expects future references to Chavez will be altered or eliminated. I'm Bill Ziebel in Dallas.
In the Rio Grande Valley, KRGV reports that City of San Juan leaders are looking into changing the name of Cesar Chavez Road. City Manager Ruben Guajardo is working with the city's attorney to figure out legal steps before bringing a possible name change to the City Commission. A large explosion at an oil refinery near the Texas coast on Monday forced nearby residents to shelter in place. The Associated Press reports that no one was injured in the explosion at the Valero refinery in Port Arthur, about 90 miles east of Houston. The refinery has over 700 employees and can process about 435,000 barrels of oil per day. The plant refines heavy sour crude oil into gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. A shelter in place was in effect for nearby residents for about 12 hours. Meanwhile, back in South Texas, the Sink Your Shucks oyster shell recycling program will host its annual community oyster reef restoration event on May 9th. Managed by the Coastal Conservation and Restoration Lab at Texas A&M Corpus Christi's Hart Research Institute, it will take place at Goose Island State Park near Rockport in a few weeks. During the family-friendly event, volunteers will bag recycled shell and place the bags into the bay where they will help form oyster reefs. The event will also feature educational booths where children can learn about oysters, coastal habitats, and restoration. Registration is requested for all volunteers. University officials have said that about 125 volunteers have already signed up. You can find more information at the Hart Research Institute's website. The 2025-26 flu season has been brutal so far, and at least 19 million Americans have had it, and it's not over yet. In this week's episode of KERA's Vital Signs, Dr. David Winter, an internal medicine specialist with Baylor Scott & White, tells Sam Baker flu tends to follow a certain timeline for how long you're contagious, but it can vary.
Typically, it's contagious the day before you have symptoms. Now, not highly contagious, I should say. It's worse the second day. Typically, the flu starts and you'll be pretty sick pretty quickly. And the second day is when the viral spreading is at its peak.
Day 4 through 5 or 4 through 7, that's when it begins to ease off?
That's true. And usually for most folks, about day 5, you start to feel better. In fact, if at day 5 you've had no fever for 24 hours, assuming you haven't taken a flu-reducing medicine, if you've had no fever, then you're not contagious at that point. When the fever goes away for 24 hours, you're starting to improve. Even if you have a lingering cough, feel a bit fatigued, at that point, you're probably not contagious.
So it's safe to go back to work or back to school at that point?
It is, yes, indeed.
So it doesn't hang around after the fever has passed or...
It doesn't for healthy people. Now, if you're immunosuppressed, if you're taking chemotherapy, if your immune system is not up to snuff, if you're old and frail, sometimes very, very young kids, they can have it linger longer than that. But for most folks, by day 5 or 6, you're really not contagious and you're ready to get back into the crowd, back into your routine.
At what point during all of this should you see a healthcare provider?
Yeah, that's a good question because there is good medicine out there to treat this. Does everybody need it? Not necessarily. If you had a flu shot, I can tell you, you're likely to have a very mild case if you get it at all. So if your symptoms are mild, you can stay at home and take over-the-counter medications for cough, for congestion, for muscle aches, for fever. That can work well. But if your symptoms are pretty significant, that's when you may want to talk with your doctor.
How can you tell if you have or think you have flu or COVID-19 or RSV or just a plain common cold?
Yeah, it can be tricky. The symptoms tend to be similar. However, with influenza, with the flu, typically they come on more suddenly. You'll have a sudden onset of marked fatigue, high fever, muscle aches, a cough. With common cold, with RSV, with COVID, you may have those similar symptoms, but they usually are less so, come on more gradually. It's hard to tell though, Sam. And in fact, if you're not really sure and you think you need treatment, you have to get a test. And there are good tests available in the doctor's office. You can get a kit from the pharmacy, do a swab of your nose. I would do one for flu and COVID. And if that's positive, then you know you have it. If it's negative, you're probably fine.
All that said, how can we protect ourselves against the flu?
The most important thing is the flu shot. It does work. It may not prevent you from getting the flu, but it'll keep you out of the hospital. You'll have a mild case, if at all. Now, on top of that, most of the flu virus is spread through the air. So be careful when you're in crowds. Be careful around people coughing or sneezing. You can get it from contact, though. If somebody who has influenza touches a doorknob and you touch that doorknob and then rub your nose, you got influenza there. So you have to be careful also with touching. So wash your hands frequently. Many people don't wash their hands good enough. It takes 20 seconds to get all the virus and bacteria particles off your hands. Now, that's maybe a long time. I tell people, count to 20 slowly, or here's another way. Sing happy birthday twice in a row, and that's usually about 20 seconds.
Dr. David Winter is a series internal medicine specialist with Baylor, Scott, and White. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.